Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. And welcome to another one of my random spicy book recommendation. These ones don't really have a theme, they just are all romances that I love. Some of them from quite a few years ago, some of them really recently I read them, and it's a chance for me to just do some random recommendations that don't have anything like holding them together. But if you are looking for specific recommendations, y'all should know I'm here to hook you up. I have a full playlist of, I think at this point, over 300 videos of different specific tropes. I also have a taboo and dark romance recommendation playlist. I have a historical one. I have everything, okay? I'm your one-stop shop for recommendations, okay? And if there's a recommendation you can't find, you can check out my form in the description that says recommend a video topic, and you can put your topic in there and I will take it under advisement for sure. So with this one today, I actually want to start off with two fanfic recommendations because I am in the middle of the fanfic readathon. It's something that I started last November because I am a huge fan of fanfiction, obviously. And so I wanted to recommend two to you, and then we'll get into some other ones if you're uninterested in those. So the first one is one that I just finished, and I plan to talk about this one all the time because I gave it 6 stars. I loved it so much, and this is Silence and Submission by Jillian Eliza. This fic is a BDSM fic, as you might catch by the title, and it reminded me a lot of Contradictions when I was getting into it because it involves BDSM used as healing, BDSM to handle like trauma and to help the characters like deal with things. And I love whenever I read that. Doesn't have to be in fact fan fiction anywhere. I love that. And what I also loved about it was that this one was a friends to lovers. There are plenty of Dramini fics that are enemies to lovers, or you know, the war like really solidified them being as enemies or whatever. Well, in this one, it is a few years after the war. They both do have trauma from it, but they're friends, and their friend group is actually very encouraging of them to be together. And so I just really love that. And so there is a like friend dinner that they're all at together, and Hermione starts to kind of like spiral. She's having a bit of a panic attack, and Draco just kind of like sets his hand on her and just like, as a friend, but he uses a bit of his Dom voice, and it just tells her to settle and that she's okay. And this puts a calm over her and helps her to handle her panic attack. Now, later on when they discuss this, Draco says, I'm sorry that I overstepped. I shouldn't have been engaging in this with you, but it hurt me to see you hurting, and I wanted to help. And, you know, he was like, you should do some research into BDSM to see if you'd be interested, because I'd be willing to help you, as well as there's some attraction between them. And so Hermione does do this, and she talks to some friends, and she does some research of her own, and they also are encouraging her that Draco could be a really good match for her if she gave him a chance. And so that is what happens. And they go from there, and it was so beautifully done. It's not too over the top with the BDSM if you don't like certain things in it, but it does have like orgasm control and edging, and it has some spanking and some fun stuff like that. But really it was about their emotional connection and their friendship, and the aftercare is so good. There's a beautiful scene where Hermione gives Draco aftercare, and that's something I love to see. I would never see enough of it, of a Dom getting aftercare. And Hermione just kind of does this instinctively. She doesn't really know that that's what she's giving him until they both like realize that like that's something he's been needing, and he's never had another partner offer it to him before. So highly recommend this one, even if you've never tried fan fiction. But if you love BDSM romance, I highly recommend. There will be a link down below to get this fic from AO3 where you can read it for free. Then the other Dramini fic that I have to recommend is one that I read quite a while ago as well, and this was Because of You, and this is by Stein 048, which I love a lot of stuff from this fanfic author. I've read quite a few of their fics. And this one involves some interesting parts to it. So it first starts with them kind of like at the Battle of Hogwarts, and there is this scene between Hermione and Draco where Draco like chooses the other side. Like Hermione convinces him to choose the other side, and so that happens. Now he still ends up having to pay with some time in Azkaban, I believe, for what he did. This is also part of a world where there are two alternate universe fics of the same story, so I might be confusing the two of them. I'm really, really sorry if I do. But I know with this one, either way, they have that moment at the Battle of Hogwarts, and then they don't talk to each other again for a very long time. And now, in the present time, which I think is 10 years later, I think we're 10 years later. Yes, now we're 10 years later, and they get like given each other's phone numbers by someone. We won't like say who it is, but it is one of their friends who is sticking their nose in. And they start texting each other, which is really cute. Mel, when she made this bind up, she put some cute like stuff in there like this. And they begin this texting relationship that leads to them agreeing to date each other, which leads to more, and them kind of talking through some of the trauma that they dealt with back then. And I really enjoyed this one. This one is kind of a, like, there's still some heavy stuff that gets dealt with, but it's really beautiful. This one definitely does have like asshole Ron Weasley in it, which I know is a lot of people are a big fan of that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And this one has an alternate universe fic where I think Draco like doesn't change sides and they have a more like toxic version. But this one is a bit of a happier, lighter version. So then let's keep going. Since I so luckily got a couple special editions at Book Bonanza, I thought I would share about some of those books, just a couple of them that I haven't talked about in a while. And I wanted to. So I have The King's Spinster Bride by Ruby Dixon, which I will say pretty much every copy of this book is beautiful. There is one that's pretty plain, which is the one I had before this. And then there's the really beautiful one that you can't find anymore, but is absolutely gorgeous. But this is one of the books that I got, and it's absolutely beautiful. But this one involves this woman who, she had rescued this boy when her family was in power. Her father was overthrown, and she had rescued this little boy from being slaughtered by her father. And then when his father comes in and is like the conquering hero, he rescues his son, and the son says like, I'm gonna come back for you one day. Now he's only literally a little boy. I think he's like 8 or 10 years old when he says this to her, and she's kind of like, oh, okay, that's sweet, whatever. And she actually gets put in basically a convent for the next like 10 years or so, something like that. And now this boy, he's going to be the king, and he hasn't forgot about this girl, and he comes back to her. So this is also like an older woman romance, because I think she is like 10 years older than him. And she's a virgin, he's a virgin. He's waited for her all this time because he knew that she'd be his queen. And then there are these 3 rituals that they have to go through before she can be his bride. But it's absolutely beautiful. I love this book so much. I'm so happy to have this special edition. It's so perfect. It's beautiful, but more so this story is absolutely wonderful. So I highly recommend that you give it a go. Then another one that I was excited to get a special edition of, but this is a special edition that you can buy. This one is available on Amazon because it's the 5th anniversary edition of Voyeur by Fiona Cole. I love Fiona Cole. I was so happy to get to see her at Book Bonanza and meet her and her husband, and they were so cute. And so I bought the rest of the Voyeur series that I was missing, which I already owned the regular copy of this one, but I was missing some of the novellas in the series, so I bought those from her. Now, yeah, this is the 5th anniversary edition. So this is about a club called the Voyeur Club, and it's basically a place you can go to watch live porn. You can choose the scenes that you want to see, and you will request that and on this little like keypad or the computer pad, whatever, and then you can go into a room and watch the scene play out that you ask for. And so we have a college student who is working at the Voyeur Club to help pay her way through school. And it turns out that one of her professors, who he actually has some like sexual like hang-ups, and so he's going to this club to like help him deal with that. He goes and he watches her, and she becomes his like favorite person to watch at the Voyeur Club. And then she goes to her first day of class, and like he recognizes her is what happens, right? Because she can't see him watching, but he's seen her, and so it now puts them in kind of a difficult position. So yeah, this is a professor student one. This is also a sex worker romance, and I really like how this one all played out, and it was the beginning of this series. So I'm excited to have this too, because there is a special novella in this that I haven't read yet, and there is also notes from the author about Voyeur, which I'm excited to check out. But yes, you can get this copy on Amazon. It isn't exclusive or anything, but I liked that I bought it from her at Book Bonanza. And where is it? Got a signature from her. All right. Then another book I wanted to bring up, because the next book in the series is finally coming out. I'm so excited. And this is a little treat for you. I actually will be, if all goes well, interviewing this author. When I signed up for the arc of her next book, I asked her, you know, I do this for a lot of authors actually, and I only a couple times did they actually reach back out to me, which is totally fine. I'm not the hugest marketing person for anyone, but I always say I would be happy to host a giveaway or have an interview with you if you're interested. And Kay Dossel got back to me. So this is A Bullet Between Us, and this is the first book in the Moretti crime family. I know the author had some stuff going on in her life. She was busy, but A War Around Us will be coming out at the end of July. So I wanted to bring this back to your attention, because you know I love mafia romance, and this book had come out right around the first Mafia readathon that we did. It was one that a lot of people were reading when it came out. So I just wanted to remind you about it. Maybe like me, you want to try to do a reread. I don't know if I'll have time to reread it, but I really want to. But this is about Davina, and she walks into an alleyway and she witnesses something she shouldn't have witnessed. And so now she needs to be put in protection. And then we have Elias, who he gets assigned to watch Davina. But he's a police officer who gets this assignment, but he also has some connections that she couldn't, like, that they couldn't have foreseen, that don't necessarily make him the safest bodyguard for Davina. But he does also have a faithful companion in the form of a dog that I love. And yeah, I'm really excited to read the next one, because I believe the next book is going to be an arranged marriage about Luca, who is like the head of this crime family. So I'm always in it for when the mafia boss finds his lady. So I'm very excited for that. All right, then I wanted to bring up one of my faves that is a very like taboo, naughty book, because I don't know, it was just on my heart recently, and on my heart, and that was very Christian of me. It was on my heart recently. You guys are gonna think me crazy, but I had just read The Antihero by Sarah Kate, which is coming out very soon, and it made me think of some priest romances that I really, really liked. And so I was thinking of Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. This is one of her dark romance standalones. This one is a very taboo one. This is one I actually got signed when I met her at North Iowa Book Bash, and I got a sticker that said, "I prayed with Father Magnus," which is awesome. But this one is also like at a girls prep school. The heroine is 18 in this one, and she's being forced to go to this prep school for the last like year of school for her. And she's determined to get herself thrown out. And now her mother is a bit of a badass, bitchy character, and she tells Magnus, who is a priest as well as the headmaster of this girls' school, to keep her daughter out of trouble at all costs. And Magnus just takes that as his job anyway, let alone what this snotty rich woman is trying to order him to do. But in keeping an eye on this girl, like this girl decides to try to tempt him into sinning, because she's heard from other girls there that if she makes a pass at him, that she'll get kicked out, because that's what previous girls who have tried to, you know, make themselves available to him just get kicked out because he doesn't mess around with it. But something about Tinsley is very, very tempting to Father Magnus. So this one is great. This one also has period care in it, and one of the hottest scenes with a tampon that I've read ever. Blows Christian Grey out of the water, okay? I'm just saying, okay? Okay. All right, then we have an oldie but a goodie. This is one that I use. Oh, I love it. I've read this book so many times, and I'm so sad that these authors haven't written another book in this series, because they did kind of leave a couple couples hanging. But I understand that co-writing books is very difficult. There's often, it just can't be like kept up forever. But I, of course, am talking about Stay by Serena Bowen and Al Kennedy. Now, this is part of the WAG series, the Wives and Girlfriends series, and it's a spin-off from the Hymn and the Hymn, like, duet trilogy that's going on there. And this one is like book 2 in this spin-off series, and this one is about a single dad of twins. He's a divorced dad, and our heroine, whose name is Haley, and she runs this company called Fetch, which is basically like a concierge service for the athletes and the rich. And I mean, they don't have to be rich, but they will do tasks for you or different things like that, and they are like completely safe. Now, when one of her employees does some inappropriate things at this hockey star's home, like taking pictures she shouldn't take and like stealing some things, she is so apologetic, and she offers to personally, as a co-owner of the company, help out. Now, the way that our hero Matt starts to like fall for her is because he has cameras in his home. That's how he knew the person was stealing anyway, or like doing this. And he sees this cute woman who is like doing his like chores for him and taking his dog for a walk when he's away for hockey games, and he starts to fall for her, and it's really cute. So I love their relationship. She has some insecurities from a previous marriage. She's also a divorcee, and she actually works with her ex-husband, which is very interesting. But I loved how this story played out. I absolutely loved Matt and his pet, and he was such a sweet single dad. And like I said, it's a travesty to me that there aren't more books in this series, because this is actually some of my favorite writing from this duet. So I wish there was more, but it's still absolutely worth the read to read the two of these, because they are like standalone. So it's not like there's a huge like cliffhanger that's left. It's just that I believe that there was more between these characters that we don't get to see, because they, you know, for other characters in the series that we don't get to see. All right. And then the last random spicy recommendation I have is Where Waves Break by Julia Wolf. So I have been reading J. Wolf, which is Julia Wolf, for a few years now, and I had read her new adult books. And I'm a part of her ARC team, and I love it. And one thing is, if you're a part of the ARC team for J. Wolf, you can become a part of the ARC team for Julia Wolf. Now, I hadn't read any of her adult books yet, and this one is actually book 4 in a series, but when I heard what the tropes were, I had to read it. And so I read an arc of this one, and then I bought it right away. And of course it has Andrew on the cover, because don't all the prettiest books lately have Andrew on the cover? That's just how it is, right? So this one is a former rock star. He's now a grumpy mechanic. He's a single dad, and the teenage crush of our heroine, June, who is a younger like sister of some members of this band, which The Seasons Change is the name of the series for this one. And so he gets asked to like be on a short-term tour, and while he's there, June is there to help take care of the kids, and he has a young son, and they kind of get off on a wrong foot, and he's very kind of like rude to her, and then he realizes she's really good with his son, and so he kind of relents a little bit. And then when he gets back to his job, back to his like real life outside of that, he really needs a nanny. And so he asked June to come and do it. And so she ends up being a live-in nanny for him. And they're very attracted to each other, but they're going to keep it professional until there's this one night where he barks an order at her, and she like does it, and it becomes clear that they maybe share some BDSM kinks together, and they very much want to explore these things together. So that's where it goes from there. So yeah, single dad, nanny romance, age gap, and actually a heroine who's very sexually like confident at who she is and everything. So that was really great to see in this one. So yeah, highly recommend. Like I said, I read this out of order. There are other books in the series I eventually want to read. I think they're being made into audiobooks now, so I'm kind of like waiting for those. But yeah, I highly recommend this one if you love the nanny and single dad trope. So there you go. Those are some randy books. Those are some randy books for you. Those are some random spicy romance recs for you. I will have links down below to either the AO3 where you can read this for free, or the Amazon link for it. If you use my commission link, it does help out the channel. You'd be surprised how having, you know, many different people buy books where, you know, you just get a little bit of commission if you get it through Amazon. It does add up to helping out the channel. So definitely check that out if you are interested in any of these. Make sure you like this video if you like these recommendations for me. Feel free to leave a video suggestion in the form that I have down below. You can also leave me a book recommendation if you're interested as well. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.